Hey guys, Coach Jack's here with you today. Today's topic is going to be, what is a 3 technique? What does it mean when you hear somebody say, oh, he's lined up in a shade, he's lined up in a 7, he's lined up in a 9 technique? What do all these crazy numbers mean, and how can that help people in the game of football? So just want to talk to you real quick about that. Basically what I've got set up here is the offensive line. Here's the center, guard, tackle, tight end on one side, same thing with the others. Center, guard, tackle, tight end. Okay, this system of communication was basically is largely credited to Bear Bryant. Came up with it sometime in the 60s and 70s as a way for him to communicate with his offensive line and his other coaches on where the defensive linemen were lined up. Where are they in relation to our offensive linemen? So essentially, what you have is all head-up techniques are even numbers, okay? So a defensive lineman that lines up, head up the center, straight, we call him a nose guard, right? Straight on the nose of the center. He's called a 0 technique, okay? Now, like I said, all head-up techniques are even numbers. So a guy that is head up the guard lines up in a 2 technique over this guard or this guard, okay? Lined up in a 2 technique. I think you probably got it from here, right? The guy lined up over the tackle, head up, is a 4. The guy lined up, head up over the tight end is a 6 technique. Okay, same thing over here, a 4 and a 6. Okay, so what this system does is allows coaches to communicate. Coach, I got a 4 technique. That means he's lined up straight up on my nose. Okay, on the tackle. All right, now, what about all these other numbers? Where do they come from? Well, sometimes, not all defensive linemen line up, head up. Sometimes they line up in what we call a shaded technique. So if somebody is shaded on the center, we just call that guy a shade. Okay, so if he's not head up, but he's shaded, we just call him a shade. Okay? Now, a person that is on a inside shade technique of the guard, we call a 1 technique. Follow me? So an inside shade of the guard on this side is a 1 technique, either side. Okay? Now, looking at it, I've got a 1 that's an inside shade technique. 2 is a head-up technique. So what do you think the next number would be? It would be a 3 technique, right? So you hear that all the time. 3 technique. That is the guy that's lined up outside eye of the guard. Okay? Now, we're going out to the tackle here. Head up is a 4. An outside shade, we call that a 5 technique. Now, if you notice, there's no number between a 3 and a 4. So what do we call the guy that lines up in an inside shade technique of the tackle? There's no number there. Well, smart as Bear Bryant was, he came up with a 4-eye, or 4 inside. So that's known as a 4-eye technique, 4-eye, right? All right, we're going out to the tight end. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Okay, now if you look, we got 0, shade, 1, 2, 3, 4-eye, 4, 5. Well, we know all even numbers are head-up techniques. Okay, so the next number is 6. So what could this number be? Well, borrowing from the terminology that we use on the tackle, a 4 and a 4-eye, we could do this. We could call this a 6-eye technique. 6 inside. Okay? Now, here's where it gets confusing. Okay? You would think that this would be a 7 technique, right? You think this would be a 7. It's not. It's a 9. Okay? Now, you say, what in the world? How does it go to 9? Well, obviously, we can't use 8, right? 8 would mean a head-up technique because it's even number. So 8 is out of question. But why is it not 7? Okay? So back in the old days, when Bear Bryant came up with this system, he called it like this. He said, well, the guy on the tight end is still a 6 technique, but since since we don't have a number between 5 and 6, we'll trade the numbers. We'll say a 7 technique is a guy that's inside. We can't use 8, so the next one is 9. Okay? So football coaches still commonly know today that a 7 technique, well, that is an inside shade of the tight end. It's just kind of one of those tricks of the trade. Hey, what's a 7 technique? Well, that's inside shade of the tight end. But you could say a 7 or a 6-eye and know that that means the exact same thing. Okay? But we always use this out here as a 9. A 9 technique always means a defensive end lined up outside eye of the tight end. Okay? So it's the same way over here on this side. So you got a 1 is an inside shade, 2 is a head-up shade on the guard, and a 3 technique is the outside shade of the guard. Same thing over here, 4 is head-up, a 4-eye would be inside, and that'd be a 5 technique outside eye of the tackle right there, okay? When we get back over here to the left tight end, it's a 6-eye or a 7 on the inside shade, and a 9 technique on the outside, okay? So, leave your comments, questions, whatever. CoachJax@gmail.com is my email. If you got any questions, I'd be happy to answer. But basically, just wanted to give a brief overview of what do those numbers mean and what's the purpose of them. All right, thanks.